Sona Bhavatu Sano Phunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Badhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman protect us. May he guide us. May he give us strength and right understanding. May love and harmony be with us all. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Vedantasara of Sadananda Yogendra, quintessence of Vedanta. Tonight we shall discuss a very, very important and intricate aspect of Vedanta. In our last class we talked about Akhandakara Karita Chitta Vritti Rudeti. The Guru instructed his disciple, Tattvamasi, thou art that. Immediately the disciple experienced, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So this Aham Brahman, I am Brahman, this Chitta Vritti, this thought wave arises in the mind of the disciple. Chitta Vritti. Chitta, of course, it is mind. Last Sunday we talked about quite a bit of mind. The yogis think about the mind as a river. One drop, two drops, millions of drops of water form a river, a current, a stream. Thought waves, one after another. Pass through our minds, thought waves. In the second aphorism, Patanjali says, what is yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Control the thought waves of the mind is called yoga. This current of thoughts are continuously passing over our minds. So many thoughts, so many ideas. Some thoughts are good thoughts, some thoughts are bad thoughts. Bahoti papaya, bahoti punnaya. Vyasa says, some thoughts move toward good, some thoughts move toward evil, lower direction. As I was trying to explain, that the river has two tributaries, good and bad. If the mind, if the thought waves go through this bad side, if you put a dam there, if you build a dam, then water cannot go to the bad channel. All water comes through the good channel. But there you cannot stop. You need practice so that the water will continually go to the good channel. Bibi ko pragvara, Vyasa says, that bed of that water is viveka, discrimination. So time to time, if water tries to go toward the bad channel, immediately mind says, no, go to the good channel. Sometimes the yogis practice how to practice the thought waves of the mind. They call it Nirodh Samskara. Mind has 5 modifications. Kshipta, scattered mind. Mudha, dull mind, vikshipto, sometimes it goes towards good side, sometimes bad side. It jumps around. Ekagro, concentrated mind, and niruddha, mind without waves. You see the danger. If you do not have a good teacher, what happens? Suppose you are practicing, I shall not allow to rise any thought wave in my mind. You can do it. I used to do it. No thoughts should arise in my mind. If any thought wave comes, stop. No. 5 minutes if you struggle, you will find your mind will stop. It will be a no man's land at that time. Some people think that is a spiritual experience. That is not correct. Do you know why? In dreamless sleep, you do not have any thoughts. That does not mean you are illumined. Again, when you come back from deep sleep, again you move around, you think about various things. Cessation of thoughts does not mean that you are illumined. For the reason Vedanta says, Akhandaka aham brahmasmi ittadi akhandakara karita chitta vritti rudeti. That we discussed in our last class, you remember? When the teacher in this way clears the meaning of the words that and thou by the removal of the superimposition and makes the qualified student grasp the import of the sentence thou art that, which is absolute unity, there arises in his mind a state of absolute oneness in which he feels that he is Brahman, by nature, eternal, pure, self-illumined, free, real, supremely blissful, infinite, and one without a second. This thought comes to his mind. It is very important for the students of Vedanta to know Brahman is never an object. It is the eternal subject. Vigga taramare kena bijaniyad. Who can know the knower? Mind always objectifies something. Here is a chair, here is a light, here is a sweater, here is a shoe. My mind objectifies those things and I get the knowledge of those things. You see? Now you remember, now you are focusing your mind on Brahman. You are trying to objectify Brahman, but Brahman is never an object. Here is a great mystery. Vedanta scripture says, Abang manusa gocharam naisa tarkena motiraponeya na manusa na manute jenahur manu matam tadeva brahmatang vidhi neidam jyodidam upasati. The mind cannot objectify Brahman, but Brahman, mind functions by the help of Brahman. What a mystery. Then how can I know Brahman, sir? If you say mind cannot objectify Brahman, mind cannot know Brahman, then how can I understand Brahman? You are confusing us. Another Upanishad says, Manusaiva anudrashtavyam. You will have to understand this Brahman through the mind, pure mind. That we are going to discuss tonight. One Upanishad says you cannot know through the mind. Another Upanishad says you will have to know through the mind. So we find contradictory ideas. Always remember, you have the powerful tool, the best instrument to know everything in this world through your mind. Mind is the indispensable tool to get the knowledge. And with same tool, we shall use to understand Brahman, to understand God. Satu chit pratibimba sahita sati prattagavindam ajnatam param brahma vishwikrita tadgato ajnanam eva vadati tada patokarane tantudahe patodahavat akhilakarane ajnane vaditi sati tatkarjasya akhilasya vaditatvat tadantar bhuta khandakarakarta chittavrittyopi vadita bhavuti. That mental state, illumined by the reflection of pure consciousness, objectifies the Supreme Brahman, unknown but identical with the individual self, and destroys the ignorance pertaining to Brahman. Then, just as a cloth is burnt when the thread composing it are burnt, so all the effects of ignorance are destroyed when their cause, namely ignorance, is destroyed. Hence, the mental state of absolute oneness, which forms part of those effects, is also destroyed. I remember in our Vedanta class, our teacher was explaining, mind is also constitutes with three gunas. Mind has three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Here is a 1000-watt electric bulb. On the top, a patch of tar. Another side, another patch of tar. Dark, very thick dark, through which the light cannot come out. But 80% of your mind, or 90% of your mind is luminous. 10 or 20% mind is covered with thick tar or darkness. Does it disturb your function in this world? No. You see everything right. But those patch marks are there, remember. So when this mind becomes preponderance of Sattva Guna, it becomes luminous. When it becomes luminous, what happens? Here is a big mirror. Whereas 5%, 10% of that mirror are covered with thick dust. You cannot get the reflection through that. But 80% of your mirror is clean and you can get a good reflection of your face. That happens at that time. The commentator gave an illustration, because you should understand that how you are going to understand, realize your Brahman, your Atman, your consciousness. You put a magnifying glass on a straw, a dry straw. The sun will go through your magnifying glass, will burn the straw. The sun does not burn the straw, but when it is magnified, it burns the straw. And then what happens? Straw is burned. So this light which I was reflecting through the magnifying glass, it does not any object. So it becomes functionless. It becomes connected with the sun. it becomes one with the sun. The magnifying glass is your mind, through which the Atman reflects. And when it goes to the objects, it gets the object of the knowledge. If it does not go to the objects, it becomes face to face. At that time we realize God. Why all these religions, all these teachers are asking us again and again, go within, go within, go within. Why? The kingdom of heaven is within you. As long as you have outgoing tendencies, no hope for God realization. Guaranteed. Sri Ramakrishna says, if there are too many fibers in the thread, it will never pass through the eye of a needle. You will have to remove all these fibers with a little moisture, so it will pass through the needle. Similarly, for God realization, you need one-pointed mind. Not two-pointed mind, one-pointed mind. That one is very difficult. I do not want world. I want God and God alone in my life. That Swamiji in England, in London, in one of his lectures, he challenged the audience. Is there anybody here can raise both hands and say, I want God and God alone? You people think God is the only reality, God is our goal. If you feel that way, why don't you raise your two hands and say, God, I want God and God alone? Very difficult. It is a great challenge. Another thing, always remember, mind is jada. Mind is matter. Mind does not have consciousness. Consciousness is in Brahman, in the Atman. It reflects on the mind. For that reason, mind looks luminous. Mind has no consciousness. It is matter. And that matter, that mind, will illumine the Atman. How? See how this mysterious, those who practice japam and meditation wholeheartedly, time to time they get glimpses of this light. I was reading Swami Advaitananda's life. He was telling that, one day in Kashipur while Master was alive, আমার ভিতরের মূল্য খুলে গেল. He expressed, my inner realm opened. I could not fan the Master. I just lost outer consciousness when I had that experience. Vritti. Another commentator says, to make fire, you need a piece of wood, firewood. When that wood is ignited, you get fire, heat. You get light and heat all through your room. Then that fire burns the wood and extinguishes itself. Similarly, the vritti, buddhi vritti, thought wave, aham Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. That vritti, what does it do? It ignites that supreme knowledge. And then vritti, thought stops. What happens at that time? Three things will happen. You forgot space, you forget times, you forget causality. Sometimes you may be in your shrine, meditating long hours. You are completely unaware where you are. You are completely unaware what is the time, how long you are meditating. I knew a Swami. After his meditation, he used to bow down to the Lord. So he was meditating on his bed, and his meditation was so deep. I was a night attendant of that Swami. My duty was from 11 to 2. Then another monk will come 2 to 5. So we are brahmacharis, he was the president of our order. We used to stay in his room because his attendants used to work whole day, so they needed some night rest. So I offered that I shall stay at night. So in a dim light, I used to read Gospel of Ramakrishna, and if the Swami wants to go to bathroom, I would take him to the bathroom. So he was meditating on his bed. He forgot time, space, causation. And when he bowed down, he just fell from the bed on the cement floor. Mosquito curtain was there. Just fell and broke his collarbone. I still remember when they took him to the hospital. He was lying down. No sign of pain or disgust on his face. Just if nothing happened to him. I have never seen such person in my whole life. Na priya pris prishataha. Good and evil, pain, happiness, and unhappiness never disturb that person. Completely up. No, very little body consciousness. That thing happens. You forget time, you forget space, you forget causality. Vritti vadakave abdi dagdhagna same bhuvinashati. Who raised that Ajnana Vritti, Akhanda Vritti? A thought waves come. Why do you have thought waves? Because you have ignorance. Duality. All duality comes from ignorance. Good, bad, all come from same ignorance. So do you know what happens? Iron chain is also a chain. Gold chain is also a chain. Both chains are equally strong to bind you. So, I am a man, I am a woman, I am rich, I am beautiful, I am learned, I am, all these vrittis, thought waves. And I am Brahman, that also a thought wave. But there is a gulf of difference, one is the very lower plane, another is a very, very higher plane. But that vritti is also in the realm of duality. I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. I is there, Brahman is there. Still duality is playing. That thought wave is still playing. This duality, at that time, do you know what happens? This vritti, that the dual vritti stops, but Brahman remains. Sri Ramakrishna gave a beautiful illustration. In our part of the country, people sing Kirtan. Nitai Amar Mata Hati. Nitai, a disciple of Chaitanya, Amar, my Mata Hati, mad elephant. And he is so intoxicated that he is singing and dancing just like a mad elephant. That is a line of a song. So these all people are singing Nitayaman Matahati, Nitayaman Matahati. When these people get excited, intoxicated, Nitai Amar, 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 Mata, Mata, Hati, Ha, 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 Ha. At that time, they cannot sing the whole line at all. Ha, 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 all is ha, ha, ha. Slowly, sound is becoming less and less. Wordings are less and less. At last, when they are completely intoxicated, they fall on the ground unconscious. Sri Ramakrishna says how the dualistic experience leads to that non-dualistic experience. Ha, ha, ha. Previously they are singing Nitai Amar Mata Hati. Nitai Amar Amar Ma Ma Ta 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 Ha Ha Ti Ti Ha. In this way, slowly, sound, noise, wordings become less and less and less and less. Same thing happened. That Om Brahmasmi, this one vritti, one thought. Slowly, that thought disappears. Only Brahman remains. Example? Alato Shanti Prakaranam. In the Mandukya Upanishad, we discussed these things. Firebrand. Here is a fireball, perhaps you have seen in our village we used to burn that thing. You do not have that kind of thing here. Some kind of date palm tree, it grows some kind of fiber, and these dry fibers we used to tie with a cane, and we used to set fire, and we used to rotate firebrand, because especially in fall time that will kill the mosquitoes. Otherwise the whole village will be full of mosquitoes. That fire will burn the mosquitoes. So that is the way they rotate. So if you rotate slowly, you see that something is rotating. If it is tremendous speed, you cannot see it. Same thing, when the engine of the 747 or these jet planes start to move, watch carefully, slowly. When it starts to tremendous speed, you cannot see, there is nothing. When it rotates at a tremendous velocity, you cannot see it. But slowly, when they stop the engine, slowly, you see that it has all this structure and all this. The engine again becomes steel and becomes steel. Similarly, when this Aham Brahmasya, I am Brahman, with the tremendous speed it moves, you do not see that vritti at all. Only Brahman remains. That Kartikena Upanishad says, Pratibodho viditam matam amritattam hi vindati atmana vindati vidyam vidyaya vindati amritam. Pratibodho viditam, pratibodh. In every thought wave, he feels, I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. Not I am Chetanananda, I am Swami, I am this, I am that. Every thought wave is coming and this person is repeating, I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. That is reason practice repeat mantram. Do you know why? In every time you repeat mantram, that form appears before you. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Only Jesus, that Jesus vritti only takes the form. Or Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna. Only Ramakrishna vritti forms and you forget yourself. You do not exist. Only Ramakrishna, Jesus exists. In this way, if you can stay half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, you will find that Jesus is the reality. And that Jesus or Ramakrishna will occupy your mind and you forget your individuality. That is the main reason we repeat mantra. We repeat God's name. The moment you call your beloved comes, appears before you. কার্য কারণ দুই ধ্বংস হয়ে যায়। কারণ is the ignorance, cause. কার্য is the thought. When the cause is removed, the effect automatically becomes removed. Do you know what does it mean, what he is talking about? When you have this knowledge of Brahman, your mind becomes luminous. What does it mean? My mind is luminous? That means there is no darkness, no ignorance in my mind. And if there is no ignorance in my mind, do you know what does it mean? You have no vritti. Vritti, thought wave, is the cause, is the effect. If the cause is removed, the effect is automatically goes away, disappears. Thought waves, what kind of thought wave? Lust, anger, jealousy, greed, all these waves stop. That is a very good illustration. If the cause is removed, the knowledge of Brahman removes the ignorance. When the ignorance disappears, that means darkness disappears, mind becomes luminous. When the mind becomes luminous, there is no thought. You remember I told Kama, Sankalpa, Vichikitsa, Ri, Dhi, Vi, Shraddha, Ashraddha, Sarvam, Manoeva. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad defines mind. What is mind? Kamo, desire. Sankalpa, resolution. Shraddha, faith, lack of faith. Fear, shame, intellect. All these various thoughts which come in our minds, that is called mind. As I said, millions of thought waves make the river, that is called the mind. Constant thoughts passing over the mind. That is the way we register our mind. When your mind is full of joy, full of happiness, at that time your face also shines with joy and happiness. Face is the index of the mind. At that time, do you know what happens? You feel so light. If your mind is light, you feel light. If your mind is heavy, you feel heavy. See the connection between the body and the mind. A knower of Brahman has very, almost nil body consciousness. He feels so light. Ananda deva khollimani bhutani jayanti. Anandena jatani jivanti. Ananda prayanta visang vishanti. Ha-u, ha-u, ha-u. Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. The Upanishad says when a person experiences this Brahman, he floats in bliss. He cannot suppress his bliss, he is within. He shares, come, share, take share from me. He calls everybody, come, come, take share, take share. I cannot carry anymore. Too much bliss, too much joy inside. All selfishness goes away forever. You know, sometimes Swamiji used to say, all these things should be in the book only. Shall we not come to our lives? Our teacher gave another analogy I wrote in my book. This body is just like a bowl. Mind is just like water. And Brahman is just like the sun, reflects on the water. And সেই জল মায়ার দ্বারা আলোড়িত হয়, মানে that water is shuffled, is moved by Maya. And then through meditation, when we stop that surface of the water, of the mind, we can have a vision. In perception, according to Vedanta philosophy, the mind, through a particular sense organ, is projected upon an object and pervades it. It then takes the form of the object. This transformation is called vritti, or mental state. As for instance, the water of a lake issues through a hole as a thin stream and enters a field. It then takes the form of the field. As the mind is material, no modification of it can destroy ignorance. But this can be just done when it is illumined by the reflection of pure consciousness. Ignorance is not in Brahman, which is pure and self-illumined, but in the jiva, individual soul. As long, however, as the latter does not realize this identity with Brahman, ignorance is rather loosely said to be in Brahman because of its identity with the jiva. Tatra pratibimbitam chaitanyamapi jata pradipa prabha aditya prabhava bhasana samartha soti taya abhibhuta bhavati tata swayam prakashamana pratyak avinna parabrahma abhavasana ahrataya tena abhibhutam satsu upadibhuta akanja vritti bhatitatvat darpana bhave mukha pratibimbaisa mukhamatratvat pratyak avinna parabrahma matram bhavati. Sadananda Yogendra says, as the light of a lamp cannot illumine the luster of the sun, but is overpowered by it, so consciousness reflected in that state of the mind is unable to illumine the Supreme Brahman, self-effulgent and identical with the individual self, and is overpowered by it. And on the destruction of this state of absolute oneness with which that consciousness is associated, there remains only the Supreme Brahman, identical with the individual self, just as the image of a face in a looking glass is resolved into the face itself when the looking glass is removed. Sometimes the question arises, our minds, mind is a very tiny, small thing. And Brahman is infinite, all-pervading. How can this tiny mind can pervade, can comprehend, can have a glimpse of that infinite Brahman? That is the question. Mind is finite. How the finite can comprehend the infinite? That is the question. Vedanta says, early in the morning you go out, especially in fall in our part of the country. We see dewdrops all over, on the flower petals, on the leaves, on the grass, crystal clear dewdrops all over. If you watch carefully, You can have a glimpse of infinite, vast blue sky on a single dewdrop, or a single raindrop on a leaf. You can have a glimpse of blue sky, vast blue sky. Similarly, when the mind becomes crystal clear like dewdrop or a raindrop, you can have a glimpse of the infinite God. What happens? Vidyaranya Muni says, in darkness, if you want a cheer, you need two things. You need a candlelight or an oil lamp, and you need your eyes. But if you want to see the candlelight or oil lamp, you need only one thing, only eyes. But Swami, why? What do you mean? I am just trying to create a background so that you may understand what I am going to tell you. If you want to see a chair or a jar, you need two things in darkness. You need a lamp and you need the eyes. But if you want to see the lamp, you need only the eyes. Remember this one. The mirror. We see our faces on a mirror. I remember still our teacher was telling a story that here is a beautiful girl coming from a village, poor family, in remote village where civilization has not yet arrived. They have no mirrors. This little girl is completely unaware of her beauty. She does not know how beautiful she is. You just bring a mirror to her and see, look, girl, how is your face, how beautiful you are. At that time she gets a glimpse of her face. She gets the reflection of her face on the mirror. And she becomes aware of her beauty. Then you take the mirror away. Will she forget about her beauty? That is the question. Never. She will never forget her beauty. Similarly, time to time, in deep meditation, when your mind is calm, serene, pure, you will get the reflection of your Atman. And that experience will remain with you forever. I shall tell you another thing in this connection. A disciple of Vivekananda asked Swamiji, Swamiji, if we want to meditate, we need an object. Is it not true? Yes. When you meditate, what do? You need an object. Ramakrishna or Jesus or Buddha or Krishna. You need an object. That is correct. But when you meditate on the Atman, Atman is not an object. How can you meditate on the Atman? That was his question. Swamiji said, don't you understand this? No. At that time we practice objectless meditation. But what do you mean objectless meditation? But at that time the mind becomes the object and the mind becomes the subject. I am confused. mind becomes the object and the mind becomes the subject. Sri Ramakrishna says, Shuddha Man, Shuddha Atma, Ek. Pure Atman and the pure mind are one. Do you know what does it mean? Here is a mirror. You are taking the reflection of the sun. And if you move that mirror from the sun, that mirror will focus on an object, either on someone's face or through person's window. But if the mirror is totally, focused on the sun, what happens? This reflection of the mirror will be overpowered by the sun and it becomes functionless. If you take a oil lamp and try to illumine the sun, will you be able to do that? No. It will be overpowered. So when the Jivatma, this individual soul, your mind is focused toward the Atman, the self-luminous Atman will overwhelm you and your individuality will be vanquished forever. But we don't want that, Swami. We want to preserve our ego, individuality. We call it Chidabhash. Atman is reflecting on your mind. And that mind, that reflected mind, you are focusing on the Atman. So all light comes from the main source. This is the source. So this one will overpower you. And your whole mind will be luminous. At that time, this Atman and the mind become one. That is called pure mind. That is the realm of mysticism. Do you know why? There is no duality. Thomas Merton made that remark. You Christians, he was telling, his subject was prayer. Thomas Merton is a man of prayer. There is a book, Thomas Merton, a monk. I took that quotation and put it at the back of They Lived with God. So one Santa Barbara nun wrote to me, Swami, you put that quote, but I want to know the source. Because she is writing an article quoting that one. So I again searched the library and at last I got that quote. It is Thomas Merton as a man of prayer. He said, the Christian people pray. A lot of prayer. They pray to whom? God. Then somebody says, it is a duality. That I am praying to someone else. Thomas Merton saying, if you watch carefully, you will find there is no duality. As if he was talking, we answer our own prayers like that. If there is no duality, if you minutely observe, duality vanishes. In this respect, I am a Hindu, and Ramakrishna has the solution. He mentioned in that book, Ramakrishna has the solution. This is where you are the subject, you are the object. At that time, how can you pray? How can you meditate either? There was a great mystic, Nishaladasa, who I still remember. I used to memorize 6 verses of Vichar Sagar, Ocean of Discrimination. Bodh chahi jako sukriti, bhajata rama niskam, so mero hai atma, kaku karu pranam. He could not find God to bow down. If you want to bow down, you need somebody to bow down. He feels that my God is my heart, my soul, my Atman. How can you salute myself? He could not find God to bow down. Great mistake. Nischala Das. Usti bhati priya sindhu me nama rupa janjal. Beautiful, those verses. There is a beautiful poem of this Tagore. Ami apon gandhi ঘুরে ঘুরে মরি খুঁচিতে গন্ধ মম কস্তুরী মৃগ সম. A masked deer tries to locate the fragrance of the mask. The deer is completely unaware that the mask is in his navel. It does not know. So it runs around, They say average deer runs 60 miles a day out of fear. Out of fear, average deer runs 60 miles a day. So running from where this fragrance is coming, later on this deer gets exhausted and dies. At that time people go and extract musk from its navel. Tagore says, Ami apon gandhi ঘুরে ঘুরে মরি. Getting my own fragrance, I do not know the source of the fragrance. So ঘুরে ঘুরে mori, I die, jump around, run here and there. খুঁজিতে গন্ধে মম. I want to know the source of that fragrance. কস্তুরী মৃগ সম, like the masked deer. All these human beings are carrying God within, Atman within. And we go to the temples, churches, everywhere. Well, Swami, if everybody have that kind of experience, all the churches and the temples and the synagogues will be closed. It would be nice if all closed, then I will not have to lecture either. If all get illumination, then we don't need any Swami. We don't need any minister or a pastor. That would be wonderful. Everybody will be illuminated. Up to this tonight, please ask me questions. The question I arose tonight, I could not finish it. That will be in our next class. That one school says that one Upanishad says, Manushaiva anudrashtaibhyam, you will have to experience the Atman through the mind. The other Upanishad says, Jan manusana manuti. One cannot understand, cannot experience through the mind. We shall discuss these things in our next class, next Tuesday. Please ask me questions.
I didn't understand your analogy about the darkness, the eyes, the light, and the chair. That makes sense. But why would you say that there's only one thing needed if you want to see the light? Because if there's no light, you can't see the light. In other words, you still need two things, right? The eyes and the light.
Yeah, that is the part I raised that question, but I could not explain tonight. That will be for next class. Natoko Deepa. Let me give an example. Here is a chandelier. The audience, actors, actresses, the musicians, the manager, the director of the theater, all these people are functioning. And only chandelier is illumining all. In that analogy, I was trying to say To get the knowledge of this chair, I need oil lamp. I need my buddhi, my intellect or the mind. The buddhi, the vritti, takes the form of the chair and the light illumines it. Only buddhi cannot illumine this chair. I need the help of the light. Is it clear? So similarly, in the same analogy, I am trying to bring it is the outside. Now same analogy I want to bring inside. I need that consciousness, the Atman light. And as well as I want my buddhi. This buddhi, what will it do? It will destroy the ignorance about the Brahman, but Brahman, it cannot manifest the Brahman. Why? Brahman is self-luminous. That is another mysterious realm that we shall talk next class. Any question, any more question? Very interesting. Two things simultaneously happen. Buddhi encompasses the form, the mind encompasses, takes the form of the chair, and it is the light manifests this chair. Because buddhi does not have any light. I need the oil lamp or candle light to understand that it is a chair. Two things simultaneously happens. They call it con. Con means infinitesimal part of time. Chip, 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 chip. Like that it comes. So illumination comes like that. Chip. Instant. It does not take time. This part of Vedanta is very, very interesting. After finishing this, then will come sadhana, how to practice it. Shravana, manana, nididhyasana, hearing, reflection and meditation. And samadhi, absorption. How these four things can be practiced in our day-to-day life. We do not know how to hear. Sadananda Yogendra will say, there are 6 ways, there are 6 conditions to hear about God, about the scriptures. Upakrama, upasanghara, phala, apudvata. There are 6 causes, 6 ways of hearing. Masatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrittorma amritam gamaya, avirabirma yedi, rudra jatte dakshinam mukham, tinamam pahi nityam, om shanti shanti shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality.